Hello, friends. It's Nicole Scott from Own Your Sparkle YouTube channel. And as you guys know, I always love to find women around the world that have gone into a whole new world, which is owning our sparkle, owning our natural hair color. And as you guys know, each individual person that I have brought on for this gorgeous Gray Movement interview, our hair all looks different. We are all unique. And I found Tanis on Instagram and I absolutely fell in love with just her journey. I love the background. I love that you're an actress. So right away, I'm like, oh my gosh, like aren't actresses supposed to look a certain way? And you'll talk about that, I hope. But let's I just want to and what we're going to do is we're going to let everybody know where they can follow you. And I love her Insta tag. Are you guys ready for this? Great white sparkles, because she is from Peace River. So I'm going to spell it for you, Greyt. So it's a play on word. So great white sparkles, like the Great White North, right? I love it. So anyways, Tanis, thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate it. And maybe you can just share a little bit more about who you are to the audience before we dive in with some great questions. So again, thank you and welcome.
Sure. Hi, my name is Tanis Peranto, Tansei. I'm Métis from Peace River, Métis Nation of Alberta, born and raised in Peace River. I am an actor and a producer. Normally I'm in Peace River right now, but normally I'm based in New York actually, but spending a little more time at home during the pandemic while I can. So in my parents' house right now. I've been acting for just over 20 years, but not seriously the whole time. I was born and raised in Peace River and then went to U of A in Edmonton, taking physical education, but then got into acting in my last year and then finished my degree and then shipped myself to Vancouver and lived there for 6 years to get into the acting world and kind of dabbled in it, but not really that seriously. And then finally decided years and years later that I really wanted to go into an immersive training program. I needed that to kind of get to the next level. And so I applied to a few schools and I got into a master's program, Master's of Fine Arts in Acting in New York. And so I moved there and just been there working ever since.
Wow, that's amazing. I love that. Tell us a little bit. You've got like three, like on your Instagram as I was stalking her. Tell us a few of the shows that you've been in.
Oh, sure. Most recently, Billions, which is on Showtime in the US and Crave in Canada. And right before that was FBI Most Wanted, which is a CBS show, which I think is on. They played a bunch on like different channels here. I think it might be on like Global or something. I'm not really sure how that like jurisdictional border cross works with US shows. And House of Cards and Designated Survivor. Those are the ones.
Wow, that's awesome. I'm definitely not like a TV junkie at all, but I do know that my girls have watched the Most Wanted. I know I've seen that on our TV, so I'm definitely going to have to tell my daughters when I'm done this interview that I was on the online with Tanis. I'll be like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Well, let's dive in. This is all really about talking about owning your sparkle, owning your natural color. Tanis, can you tell us a little bit of why you just decided to pull the plug and say, let's just let my natural hair come in? You can't probably see it as much as you can see her on her Instagram. So you'll definitely want to go to Instagram because she really showcases it. Sometimes lighting can be really tough. I know when I started to do these interviews 2 years ago, at first I'm like, it doesn't even look like I was like, white or whatever. So it takes a while to kind of go through the transition. But yeah, so what made you just decide? I mean, like you said, like you're an actor and there's a whole image that you need to supposedly keep as an actor. And here you are transitioning. I can't wait to hear your story.
Yeah. There's that box that most actors try to fit in. Women especially, we're not supposed to age because if we do, we don't get cast as much as if we looked younger. And there's always women who are, you're getting cast, like if they want a 40-year-old, you're often going to cast someone in their 30s, so you're sort of like always like a decade behind. So, but I've been thinking about doing this for years. And the reason is it's interesting that, yeah, lighting and the way that your hair falls. This is just my natural. I washed it last night. I air dried it. I went to bed and I woke up and it looks like this. And I actually just got a new haircut, so it's like all nice and choppy and I like it. But yeah, so if it sits like this, you can't really see. You can sort of see like, you know,
Yep.
the tinsel kind of.
Yeah.
But what started bothering me was that I had this halo, like most of it, like 50% of my hair here was like all gray, right around my hairline. And so that's where you can see like most of it is like, I have like the temples thing, right?
Yeah.
So I would color my hair, my roots, and then in 3 weeks I'd have to color them again because all I could see was this space framing halo of white hair that I could see on camera, and it bothered me. And I thought, I I really wanted to grow it out, but I kept telling myself that because my face, so I'm 43, because my face hasn't, you know, I don't have wrinkles. There is definitely aging here for sure, but sometimes I feel like it doesn't match my hair. And people always think I'm much younger than I am, which is great. I guess it has its pros and cons in life and in the acting world. But I kept telling myself, if I grew my hair out, if I grew my natural hair out, casting directors wouldn't know what to do with me because my hair wouldn't match my face, because gray hair equals older grandmas, white hair, you know, like it would catapult me into this age level that my face didn't match, this age category. So I kept thinking, well, I have to keep dyeing my roots. I have to keep coloring my roots because I'll never get cast then.
Mhm.
And I knew in the back of my head, I was like, that was just a lie I was telling myself. But I did that for years, talked myself out of it. And then the pandemic hit. And this is the interesting part I feel like about my story is that I did my own roots because I would always go to different, I'd either be here in Peace River or I'd be in New York and I wouldn't know where to go. But I'd be going to different salons and I'd always ask them for the formula for my roots so I could do it myself or I could tell my next stylist. And so I had the information. So I got my own color. I mixed it. I did my own roots. It didn't cost me an arm and a leg every 3 weeks. It cost me like $3, you know, if that. But then the pandemic hit, and even though salons closed down, it didn't matter because I did my own roots. So I could have kept doing it. But I thought now is the best time to transition if I'm going to transition, because besides salons closing down, everything closed down. So there were no auditions, there were no shoots happening, there were no productions happening. So I figured I might as well take advantage of the time and grow my hair out as much as I can so that when I start auditioning again, it'll be at least some of it grown out, and it won't be just this little bit that bothers me so much.
Yeah.
So maybe I could get past this initial hump of like, oh, I hate it, you know?
Mhm.
And so I just went with it. And it was really hard in the beginning. And then I tell this story much more truncated in my very first post on my Instagram. So you can go back and see that first post. But I have a friend who's really supportive. She's a healer. And she has always said, she's like, your hair would look so good shorter and it would look you should grow it out. The gray would look so good. And I was like, yeah, someday. And then I knew she was right the whole time because she's always right about everything. Kathleen Grace is her name. You should look her up. And then I did it, and I thought, what if also the opposite was true, that of the story I was telling myself about? Not that maybe it's not that casting wouldn't know what to do with me, but it's that thing of like, what you're scared of, you should go towards, because the prize is on the other side of that. So I thought, really, it's probably that they're going to know exactly what to do with me. Like I'll be so much more in my skin. I'll be so much more comfortable, which is helpful when you're an actor, when you know who you are and then they know who you are. And it's really not that big of a deal anyways. And then I also thought too, like I follow some casting directors who are, a lot of them are women and a lot of them are older. And so just thinking about that connection woman to woman, I feel like would be a good thing also, of like, besides inspiring other people, which is something I always like to do no matter what area of my life it is. I would think that there are women who are casting directors who would be super supportive of it, you know, and we'd be happy to see that. And someone like taking steps towards progress in that area of the industry. But yeah, it was really daunting at first because I would get so frustrated just like watching commercials, watching TV, watching movie trailers, watching interviews, and seeing during the pandemic when it first started in March. And then all these celebrities and stars had to do interviews for things they were promoting, because they still had to do that, but they had to do them from home and they couldn't get their hair done. So their roots are growing out. And I'm like, yes, maybe they're gonna like keep doing it. And then they don't. And then they color it again. And that was really disappointing and disheartening for me, because, you know, if like Meryl Streep, one of the greatest actresses in the world, has to still dye her hair, like what chance do I have, you know, if she can't even rock her own natural hair? I don't know if she does, but that's just an example. But there are like tons, hundreds and hundreds of women who are very big names who still color their hair. And maybe it's a personal choice because they just like it, but I feel like there's probably a good handful that are scared to not color their hair anymore.
Yeah.
So
probably the same story that you had running through, right? When you
full identity. I wouldn't work again. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But it's women like yourself that just say, I'm taking the risk, I'm taking the chance, and let's lean into that. And honestly, I've learned in my years as being a business mentor and entrepreneur that the more that I've leaned into the unknown and the fear, that is when the magic happens. And I teach my teenage girls this. I said, you know, magic happens just 2%, maybe even 1% out of your comfort zone. Mm-hmm. But most people choose to stay in it because it's comfortable. So, so congratulations on that. And my next question was in transition. So based on what you just said in your story, your transition was cold turkey. Let's just bring it in. I'm not going to bleach it. I'm not going to, other than you said you got it cut, you know, shorter. Is that pretty much, why did you decide that? Just letting it come in naturally?
It was actually a little bit shorter already. It was about this length when I had started growing it out. Okay. But with transitioning, so my hair actually is like a little bit darker than it was when I started transitioning, because, you know, the natural is growing out and it's dark brown. And then, so down here, you can probably see like there, it's lighter down here because so the last like year or two before I started transitioning, I thought I should start lightening my hair if I can, because then it won't be so drastic, like the contrast when the roots do grow in. Yeah. So I lightened it like a couple shades of brown, and it was like fun to rock some lighter brown hair. Yeah. And then when I started growing it out, it was like dark brown, lighter brown. So one appointment, I think it was probably in the summer sometime when I was home here in Peace River. I go to Aspen Grove Spa here in Peace River, and they're fantastic. And they put some low lights in, and they touched a little bit in the top, but they tried to stay away because Kylie, my stylist, she's like, I love your temples. I'm like, I hate my temples. She's like, everybody wants the hair that you have. I don't believe you, but sure. So she put some low lights in to sort of break up the contrast of the light brown. And that was really great. That helped a little bit. And then I just actually went in a few weeks ago and got this really awesome razor cut. And then she put some more low lights in, but this time, so it's grown out to probably, I don't know, like about there.
Okay. Yeah.
But the good thing is when I did my own roots, I wouldn't ever really touch like back here because I couldn't get there, you know, so it would really kind of just be up here. So a lot of the undergrowth here is almost all grown out. Okay. So what she did is she just kind of hand painted from like the colored parts down with more low lights. Because at first, like when I first got the low lights, I thought, oh, I really don't want to dye even the dyed bits again, even if it's darker, because I feel like I spent so much time and money getting it lightened. I was like, I should, it's all a waste. But I was like, no, I just want this transition to be as smooth as possible. And I didn't go lighter because, as you can see, it's not like white everywhere. It's just actually pretty nicely sprinkled in there. And I didn't think it was that way. I have a friend in New York, and she has these like beautiful, like 1 or 2 pieces that are just like perfectly placed throughout her hair. And I always told her, I was like, if my gray grew in like yours, I would let it grow out. Right. This is my only reason right here, like that I don't. Yeah. And then now that it's grown a little bit, sure, I have these bits that are like really concentrated here, but now I'm seeing like how it is actually like that in the rest of my head. So I'm in a place currently, as I sit here talking to you, that just only happened over the last couple of days where I'm really comfortable and happy with it. So
Awesome. So tell the audience that's watching how many months on that journey before you're like, I'm now starting to feel comfortable, because I get that question all the time. Nicole, when does this feeling of like, I'm okay now? And I'm like, it's different for everyone.
yeah, I feel like it happens, and I knew it was going to happen when either it was halfway, like the length of your hair is halfway grown out and halfway still dyed,
Yeah.
or the length of your new growth is longer. So it's like a real grand bray,
Yeah.
than your dyed bits. But so it's, for me, it was March 14th. That's my gray anniversary. So in a couple of weeks, it'll be 11 months. So I'm around 10 and a half months. Yeah.
Okay.
Week 40.
So what advice would you give women when they're like growing through that difficult stage? Like any tips or tricks of either how to hide it or what to wear, or just, what do they do? Because I think that's the biggest one that will show up, as women are like, okay, what can I do to get through that? I'm going to say difficult stage. Some people call it the ugly stage, the difficult stage. I say that stage is probably, it's the most difficult, but that's where you morph the most as a woman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's the most difficult part, and that's what makes you you go through that hard part, and the pot of gold is on the other side.
Right.
But I don't know, as far as clothes, makeup, I'm not really like, I'm a wash, air, dry. I'm wearing this like waffle t-shirt. I don't really have anything that's super tip wise for like looks, but I would just say follow as many Instagram profiles as you can, because that seeing what other women are, that they're going through the same thing as you, is so relatable. And if that resonates with how you're feeling, then I think that helps get you through those hard parts. And there's so many other accounts out there that do have like hairstyling tips and tricks and makeup tips and all of that. But I will say also that, and this is something I'd had to think about too, because I had an audition for actually a show here in Alberta where I had to be in my 30s. And I was like, that's great that they want to see me, but have they seen my headshots? Because I have gray hair in them. Like, I took new ones just so specifically they would know, like, this is what my hair looks like now. But I sprayed a little bit of the like brown spray on just to cover it a little bit. And so that's something that is possible. And that's something I tell myself too, is that even though I have this head of hair and I book a job, they could cover my hair however they want. These are professional hairstylists. Like, if they want me as an actor, they can do something with my hair. And I actually did just book a job. So we'll see how that, and it's fine. Like, nobody has said anything about my hair. So there will be a new show to add to that list next time.
Oh, good. I love it. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for being brave and bold. And again, we're going to put the link connection to Instagram so you can follow her and watch her beautiful journey. And I just love that you are you're showing up for so many women around the world, so many women, got a hair here, but women that are just saying, like, this is okay to be you. Doesn't matter if you're an actor. It doesn't mean if you're a stay-at-home mom. You can do this at any stage, at any age. And yeah, when you said 43, I was like, no way. There's no way she's 43. I was like, she looks like she's in her 30s, like so young. Yeah, very young, but I get that. But I love that you're, you're showing up, you're owning it, and that's the message that we want for all women that are going to watch this video. Is yeah, the magic is on the other side, and the morphing that happens in the process is pretty awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much, Tanis. Thank you for tuning in from Peace River. We're both Alberta girls, which is kind of cool. I grew up in Alberta as well, so it's nice to have that energy. I'm in Ontario now, but that is really cool. On that note, thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you on the next interview, Gorgeous Gray Movement.